And we are live. Welcome everybody to another episode of You Know What? Let me just say podcast. I am your host Ray. With me as always, we have Fada.
I hate Uber drivers.
We have Dion.
I'm still laughing at Fada. Sorry, that was random as fuck.
We got D Wolf.
Yo, it's good.
And we got Crystal.
Hola.
How we doing today?
Doing.
Hot.
Same, but still good. Tired, but good. I'm ready for this.
Yo, Fada, that might be a sign that you might have to get your own car, man.
No. It's not like I didn't go anywhere. The motherfucker left my food in the wrong door.
How do they do that?
It's a talent. I'm telling you.
But
You'll be surprised at the shit people do, like intentionally, just out of spite, though. Like,
It ain't out of spite. He left the door. He left it on the wrong building.
What's the point of having a GPS if you don't use it?
Because GPSs can mess up.
You know what? You do have a point. Especially like on the highway when they reroute you and they make you take the long way on purpose. Just like sound like an old head. Let's I guess where do you guys want to start at? Because I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to start with PJ Washington getting finessed by Brittany Renner.
Then let's start with that then.
All right. So, if most people don't know, Charlotte Hornets guard PJ Washington, he's been making headlines because his ex-wife, who just recently divorced him, just had a baby and now has to pay $200,000 a month on child support. Now he's saying like stop the cap, but it seems like everybody's been running with this story about him paying $200,000 a month from an Instagram model / influencer. So I want Father, since you brought this up, I want your opinions on this. How do you feel about this?
This is why men need to practice sexual discipline. If that man was sexually disciplined, he probably wouldn't be in that situation in the first place. Now, granted, this was his wife. I'm not saying this in the sense that he shouldn't have sex with his wife or anything like that. But
that in my opinion is what kind of makes it blurry here.
Nah, it's not blurry because someone had an intention and he was hurt in the process. Somebody had the intention of hurting this man. It doesn't matter how long they were together.
Not that long.
We could be together. People could be together 30 years and still get murdered in their sleep. It's happened before. So it doesn't matter how long you stay with somebody. It doesn't matter how much feelings you have for somebody. Like at any moment, something can happen and you will be at the receiving end of it. And you're going to be sitting there questioning why. Now, we live in a social media generation. So obviously, I feel like she did this for some sort of clout. But at the same time, you have a child in the world. Is this the example that you want to set for your child? You just had this baby. Is this really the example that you want to set? Is this really the environment that you want your child to be in, where you're having beef with your husband or ex-husband because you wanted a bag? I hope the bag was worth it, because now you've created an environment that might not be healthy for that child. Now, I'm sure she's a very good mother. I'm sure the father is a very good father. I hope they find a way to co-parent on a healthy basis, but all in all, I'm just looking out for that child, because it's just, bro, you should not be doing this to someone who you say you're married with. I don't know what marriage is defined like over here, but that's not what you do to your fucking spouse, especially one that you just had a child with. You just created more problems for yourself. You just created more, wahala for yourself because you wanted to be petty. There you go.
Okay. So All right. So I briefly read about what's going on. How old is the athlete? Is he about 18 years of age?
22.
22. Okay.
Uh,
So we all make mistakes when we're younger, but it doesn't mean that we don't have to pay for our stupidity or making wrong choices. I understand from what I've read, just to give a summary of this woman, is that she wrote a book uh, exposing all the huge celebrities that she's been with, like Chris Brown and Little Uzi. She also secretly filed for divorce 2 days after her giving birth. Anyone can read those two things and say, this is not wife material. Maybe I shouldn't marry her. Um, Obviously, she's obsessed with money to write a book and get her bag, and everybody's like, yeah, get the bag. But it's also the type of integrity that you hold in the world. If you have a woman that's getting her bag through the means of exposing other people, what in your fucking mind think that she wouldn't do the same shit to you? Look how she's getting the bag. You don't think that she has an agenda into getting with you?
She
Expect.
wrote the book before they got married. Sorry,
Go ahead.
she wrote the book before they met and got married.
Well, from what I'm seeing, it looks like, yeah, probably. Like I said, I'm um,
Okay.
reading briefly about her because I've only heard about her until now. I've only heard of her just now. I'm not really familiar with her, but just judging from just glancing at what's going on so far, it's kind of interesting because at the end of the day, people still make the choices, still have to lay with the choices that they've made. A woman like that should never be considered wife material. I'm just saying, if that's how she's getting her bag and it's very, you know, scandalous, I don't know what part in your brain would say, yes, this girl is definitely someone I want to lay down and have kids with. She also had a video calling athletes dumb. Look at the
I
type of
seen that. I seen that one.
yeah, and you said, yeah, let me stick my dick all up in her, and I'm an athlete, and she considered me dumb at one point. It's no way that she would ever think you're worthy in any way, shape, or form. Look how she's getting her money. At the end of the day, people just, I think they just wrap themselves into a situation to be in this predicament.
This is probably why a lot of people in this generation don't want to take. I mean, don't want to get married, especially if things gonna end up like this. Now, granted, I don't make PJ Washington money. I'm pretty sure a lot of men is not going to make PJ Washington money. So I'm coming from a area of trust because I know a lot of people say, "Well, you should have picked the right woman. She was supposed to be the right woman." That's
Right.
like I understand that people do switch, and just like Father said, some people could be like 30 years. And I learned this in House of Cards in the fourth season before Kevin Spacey got off. He looked at her wife. He looked at his wife. He goes, "Seems like I'm looking at a new person, like I'm sleeping with a stranger in your house." Sometimes it do be like that. You know, you thought you know somebody, and next thing you know, they flipping on you. So I'm coming from an area of trust. A lot of people just, it seems like a lot of these people, even if they're in a unit, they look out for themselves. And it's never like a village mentality, even for their own people. It seems like everybody is trying to look out for themselves, especially when it comes to getting money or getting the bag, as people would say. It seems like no one wants to grow a family; they just want to get money on their own. It's just like, what's the like? I don't know if they relationship was good or bad, but like 2 month, like 2 days after you divorce, I don't know. I kind of look at it funny, and I think a lot of people are looking at this funny. So the way I look at it is just like, this is why a lot of men think marriage is not worth it, and this is why a lot of people are doing the red pill and going their own way. And I know a lot of people like have different things about it, but this is one of the reasons why I feel like a lot of men are going their own way. D-Wolf, what you think?
Personally, I'm not really invested in it because it's like a private thing between two people. So I don't really. I just see them like she's vindictive. He's a fool. That's most I could get with this.
What about you, Dion?
I think there's no way in hell he didn't know certain things before getting involved with this woman, let alone getting married to her. But you know how some cats think, oh, she wouldn't do that to me. I'm above that. I got better game than them niggas. Them niggas is clowns. That's why they in whatever position they. You know how stupid motherfuckers are. But here he is. He ignored all them red flags, and now he's in the position he's in. No sympathy.
But
Okay.
and these are rumors. I am going to do more research to confirm how true they are, because you know how they just put anything in, and say whatever they want to say. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like people in general just have to be careful who they decide to marry, if they're married at all, and if he's even paying any child support. I mean, you pick the woman, you had the baby, you give the support. Everybody has to do what their responsibility is. I don't.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the issue. The child support is not the issue in this particular case. The issue is that she used him, legitimately used him. And we can talk about, oh, she had a past and oh, she did this, she did that, or whatever. But it's like Ray said, this is the woman that this man chose to be his wife. You know what I'm saying? When you become a wife or a husband, there's just certain shit you don't do. And the fact that she's doing that is just, is this what marriage is? Is this what marriage is now? Like, is this what we have to look out for? Really?
But see, that's the thing. She clearly didn't give a fuck about none of the people she was doing things for. What the fuck made him think she was gonna give a fuck about him?
He married her. That's my point.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
She played a hell of a game then.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Like, he's the victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not supposed to be in that type of situation. The only thing that man should be doing right now is taking care of his son who was just born. He is a father now. He is a father to a newborn. That should be everything to him right now. But no, now he has to deal with the fact that the woman that he married is making him pay a whole bunch of money for his child, who he's gonna take care of anyway.
You ever heard of a woman scorn?
Yes.
Hell have no fury like a woman scorn?
Correct. We got to understand also, athletes, some of them stick their dick in anything that walks. Okay.
But then that poses the question, what did he do to her?
At the end of the day, I wish I knew more information that I'm speaking, but judging from how women generally act, especially men with money, okay, they go after the money. At least the smart ones do. The other ones, they just, be used by the guy because he has money, and it is what it is. But the way that someone has to pay out a large amount of money for child support, trust and believe, if she didn't do it, I think she would have. I think this is spiteful.
Didn't she say she was talking shit about athletes?
Yep, she called athletes dumb or whatever she was saying. And then
she said athletes are idiots.
Okay, which means she pays attention to athletes, which means she should know what to expect if she was to marry one. Because that's part of the game, because they have their groupies and fans. A lot of them have that agreement, like, all right, you better come home. That's it.
Right.
This is just game goofiness all around. There's game goofiness all over this situation.
Like I said, I don't know how this nigga didn't know certain things about this woman before even dealing with her.
Like you said, athletes are dumb.
I mean, he took a risk. I'm not denying that. He definitely took a big ass risk, and it did not pay off. But I'm just saying, as husband and wife, that's not how you move.
No, there's taking a risk and then they're setting stuff up for failure. And guess what category this nigga is in?
I mean, yeah, you say that, but she could have changed. There was a chance she could have changed. That's the chance he took.
Only thing this bitch probably changes is sexual partners, man. Get out of here.
Come on now, Dion. That's
And
not nice.
Here come rude as hell, Dion.
That's not
Right
nice
on
at all. Come on, I am disappointed.
I expect nothing less from Dion.
I sound like a disappointed father.
We don't know the woman.
Nigga, I'm older than you.
What does that have to do with anything?
Oh God.
Let me sit on my throne. Damn it.
Any last words before we move on to our next topic?
Don't be game goofy.
I'm gonna just get this out of the way now. When we talk about certain shit, if it sounds like I'm speaking from a place of anger, yes.
Mm.
That's because you're like 4'11". Everything's I'm joking.
Hey,
Shut up, Ray.
I'm first of all, get my height right. I'm 5'4" and I'm 150 pounds. But that being said, never expect me to be the bigger person.
Oh wow.
And you wonder why I make jokes like this.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Speaking of women with kids, let's talk about Nick Cannon. So Nick Cannon was on a Breakfast Club and they brought up him having kids with multiple women and basically, talked about marriage. And he basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he basically said marriage is basically a Eurocentric thing. Now, like most of us in this chat, most of us here has already gave our 2 cents about it to each other. I think he's full of shit. Father thinks. Father said I see where he's coming from, but basically, what do y'all think about Nick Cannon saying that marriage is Eurocentric?
So what I think he was trying to say, that being having kids with one woman solely is Eurocentric. I think that's what he was trying to say. The marriage part, you got to understand, this is a man that has, is like famous for his divorces. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he's having children with like multiple women, now, mind you, he can take care of all these kids. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if provided he has the resources to take care of the kids. I think what the real issue is he's representing a lifestyle that we really don't want to talk about. He's representing a lifestyle that we like. Okay, so this man is purposefully choosing to do this, but we've made it stigmatized to a point where if any man has kids with multiple baby mamas, we just assume that nigga's a bum. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we used to say. We used to seeing, people who do that. We used to seeing them being bums. But the fact that this is Nick Cannon, this man is widely successful. This man has the ability to take care of all his children and the baby mamas. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's good. But when it comes to him explaining it or like explaining his thought process, there's too much stigma. So it's going to get, it's going to get attacked. That's what I feel like is going on.
Now, I know you meant thought process, but you kind of said thought process there. And well, the way he's been slinging dick.
Shut up, Dion.
But on a serious note,
so he's just processing a bunch of dots through his penis.
I guess so.
No, he's the thought. He's on fucking everyone and everything. He's the thought. But that's besides the point.
Fucked around,
my
got your
whole
boy
thing
pregnant.
is my whole thing is there's more to taking care of a child than money. So how are you gonna? It's just how do you balance that? You know, like
Hey man, it ain't our children. He gotta figure. I feel like he figure it out. He got it.
All right. I'm gonna put in my 2 cents. So here I go. Were you done, Dion, before I cut you off?
yeah, I was just, you know, that was the main thing on my mind with that situation. How do you balance like spending time with all these kids? How do you balance like legitimately like being there for their like, you know, their milestones and their, you know, their big moments as they grow, you know?
Mm. Well, I listened to his interview on one of the radio stations, I guess, talking about he doesn't believe in the Eurocentric way of doing things and he never believed in marriage or whatever he said. Well, for someone to come on a platform that big and say he never believed in yada yada when he was married to Mariah Carey doesn't make much sense to me. I think that he's finding himself in a sexual manner, but it's unhealthy. The reason why it's unhealthy is because he's using the means of money and thinking it's okay, right? But he could not even fill the cup mentally for a woman, one woman that he had twins with, which is Mariah Carey. So for me now, looking on the outside in, to believe that he can actually take care of multiple women's mental health and think that this won't overflow onto the child if it's toxic, if he doesn't have the right relationship with all these multiple women, that he can spend time with all these children that he's creating and nothing is going to go fucking wrong, don't make me laugh. A man who's capable of filling up one woman, making sure she's okay mentally and physically and financially, yes, have as much wives as you want. Have as much
Yeah,
women as
that's where that time management comes in that I was alluding to a second ago.
right. But just because you have money, honey, does not mean that it's going to fix the problems that you might create for your kid unconscious. I'm just, I'm looking,
Hell, 50 Cent is super rich and his son hates it.
huh?
50
That's a
Cent is super
totally
rich and
different
his son
That's
situation.
seems
a
to hate it.
That's
totally
a
different.
totally different
That's a
situation.
totally different situation.
The point is, money isn't always a thing. I don't
I
know
don't.
full details on that
That's not.
situation.
That's
The main
not
thing I know is the
why
motherfuckers don't
50
get along.
hate. That's not why Marquise hates 50.
Oh my God.
Point is, despite whatever financial success or whatever 50 Cent has, for whatever reason, him and his son don't fucking get along.
Mm.
Continue, Crystal.
Yeah, so I feel like he has the right idea, but the way he's going about it, I think he's making more of a mockery of it. Not necessarily, not he's not doing it on purpose, but everything that comes out his mouth, he can't back it up with substance. It just sounds like the way that he's discovering it all over the place. He looks like he's all over the place. You know what I'm saying? The women are probably not even going to be in the same household. I don't know, but judging from how he's jumping from one hospital to another to welcome his kids into the world and the separation of the women of different houses and whatnot, tell me what harmonious family is going to do with a man who's building an empire as big as Nick Cannon's and still have family time. Celebrities have it hard enough just with two people. You have multiple people and you have to pray to God that women get along and women typically don't get along. You're telling me that this can actually work out when in modern day society everybody's fucking jealous or they have an agenda? It's going to just go fine. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Can't wait to see this circus.
Excuse me. Me personally, I just think Nick Cannon just want to be a hoe and get away with it.
That's basically you summed it up in like 1.5 seconds.
You're not getting away with being a hoe if you having kids willy nilly, you know, with almost every sexual encounter you have. That's not getting away with it.
He's still having sex to this day.
That doesn't matter.
So he's getting away with it, Dion.
Okay.
He's
I'm
had
thinking in a
multiple
long-term
kids
sense.
by
Long-term
multiple
sense. This is like
women.
Crystal said. Long-term sense. Like Crystal said, somewhere down the line, X amount of years from now, some part of this is going to blow up in his face.
Boozy has 11 kids right now by
And
different
all his
women.
kids love him.
And all his kids love him. What
By
does that have to
children.
do with anything?
His
But
kids,
nah,
no.
real quick. Dion did say something that I do agree with, that money isn't like the sole thing in order to say that you are provided to your children. I do agree with that. I will say this though, Nick Cannon, I don't think he's the type of person to, like do anything malicious to his children or put the children in a position where anything malicious can happen to them. But with that, that's kind of like a wait and see. We just got to see where that goes. And as time goes on, we will just see.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we've all seen it with regular families that not regular, that's insulting to people who are in polygamy relationships. But in the typical society standard families, one man, one woman, okay, we see them fall apart. I'm just saying. And when the man leaves, typically the mother is left raising the child, and then that child takes on the anxiety and fears or whatever have you, mental illnesses that the woman has, and it falls onto the child, and then the child has mental issues. That's all I'm saying. It's like setting up your child indirectly for failure. And it's not funny because who has to deal with those children? Society. We have enough mentally ill people who have abandonment issues, who gets in a relationship thinking they're okay, and oh, my dad left me when I was 5, or he barely visited us but he was still in our life. It's a part of them of a piece missing, that people who are mentally strong don't have to deal with that. So I'm tired of these men coming on here using polygamy or whatever you want to fucking call it, geometry or whatever, all right, as an
Polygamy.
excuse to be a hoe. It's not cute. It needs to stop. It really does.
Y'all have heard of the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 20% of men is having sex with 80% of the women. This is but it's true. But it's true. This is why like people like Nick Cannon for some reason, and him. I bet you like this is what I'm saying. Like him being a father to like multiple, and if he's taking care of them, that's gonna make him he's probably gonna get 3 more kids after that. Because some women look at him, oh, he a good daddy. He probably good. He may be not around, but he still take care of his kids. Some people's going to be
Mm.
I think some people. I'm pretty sure he's going to impregnate. That's why people are making these jokes now. Now, I said the same thing about Future, and I think I said the same thing about NBA YoungBoy. After a while, like you can't blame the dudes on this. You gotta
Exactly.
kind of gotta blame the women
Exactly.
because he has different kids by multiple women, and yet you want to have sex with them without a condom. And you're just gonna be baby. I don't know if you're doing that for the money.
Cha-ching!
Yeah, I don't know if you're doing it for the money, you're doing it for the clout, but like
Okay.
kids are not accessories;
Money.
they're
It's
kids.
almost always the money.
That's exactly. When do women do not have an agenda when they're with a celebrity? Tell me how okay, so do you think a girl that lives in the ghetto can get close enough to get in the bed with Nick Cannon?
I
I'm
don't
just
know the way that boy moving. You probably can't.
right. So we got to think about the type of women that's close enough to get to Nick Cannon to even be in that predicament.
They got to be racially ambiguous first.
That's right. Big
Oof.
facts.
Yes.
Oof.
And it's the
I know one of his baby mamas dark skin, but you could tell he has a type, as father would say.
Definitely has a fucking type.
Shit.
so at the end of the day, if you're telling me it's not about the money, I'm going to say you're a liar. Right? Because
Right.
most of the time, when it comes to celebrities, it's almost always about the money, and babies come right after they meet this person. Like, What's going on? Everybody has a fucking agenda. But at the end of the day, Nick Cannon knows exactly the type of weak-minded women to get with to do this kind of fuckery.
That was a word.
Message.
I also want to say this is like the other part I did, like, even though like
Yes.
Father said he has a point, the part of I thought it was bullshit is because like there's other cultures that has lived with one people, especially the black culture, especially during slavery time where we was getting married and being with one person, like even before like the 70s, like marriage in the black community with one family was very high. Excuse me. Now I know there was a couple people, they had more than one family, but most of the time, most black families, the marriage was high. So, and then you have other cultures like the Latin family. They be having multiple kids by like one family, and usually they in the house all together. Not to be all stereotypical. Then you got the Asians. They definitely one thing they're big on is family, especially in the Asian community. The Chinese, I know they're big on family, and then like I've seen other cultures that's not in Europe that's like really big on family. So I really don't know what the fuck he was talking about with this Eurocentric thing. Now, Father did explain it, and I could see where he was coming from, and I can see what he mean by like a lot of people. Like I know India, they have arranged marriages, where it's just like um, they do it for property, they do it for land, they do it for businesses and all that other stuff. I do understand that, but most of the people that's getting married is not even going to fall under that. So it's just like, what are you talking about? So it's just one of
No,
those things. It's just one of those things where he's right, but this is not the part. This is not what you're right about. Doesn't have nothing to do with the situation you're in.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm just tired of men similar to him, whether they have money or not, using poly relationships as an excuse to stick their dick in anything that walks, like I've said before. And the type of women that I've noticed that is in poly relationships are the weak minded women that have no future. They have nothing to give to the relationship. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, what's the point of building a poly relationship? It's to build wealth. That's the end result, especially in the black community. If you're gonna fucking do it right and make sure that it's not toxic people in this poly relationship and then using that as an excuse to be a hoe. It's fucking ridiculous. It needs to stop, to be honest, but whatever.
I think because of how sudden and how reckless this is, like I theorize that he just got to a point where he just said fuck it, and he just threw that answer out there just to give an answer, but really and truly he just wants to just I think he's fed up. He just does not want, he's not finding the right one, maybe, because you said he does have a type. He's just leaping from one to the next to the next. I think he just said, you know what, I'm done. I can't fall I can't fall in love. I can't find somebody for me. You know what? I'm rich. I can do this. So I'll just leave a legacy and make sure it's guaranteed. Like, I'm not settling anymore. I'm not dealing with women anymore in that sense. If now I have plenty of options. If I'm in the mood for one, I'll just take that one. If there's one that's the best for me, I guess I got the right one. At least I went through all these trials and errors, I guess. But at least however this goes, I have a legacy. I can take care of them. I'm still good. I don't have to stress out. It's either that or because of how I said, that's sudden and reckless what he's doing. Like, I can't think of any other rational thought behind this, any rational thinking, because you said he's still doing it, which means just got to be something behind this. Like, it's either he's just said fuck it, or like the only rational thought is I think back to that episode he did with Professor Griff. And I'm like, maybe he got scared. He said the wrong thing, or let him say the wrong thing, because I know the things Professor Griff says and knows. And I think that he was like, you know what? I want to make sure that they can't get all of them. So he just said, I'll just start dropping my seed anywhere I can. They can't keep up with all of them. Either or, because this is too insane.
Hmm.
I would say that again, this is something that we just gotta wait and see. We're not in the situation. This is a man that obviously has the resources. I think that his mindset making those children, it could be way worse. I'm not saying that what he's doing can be justified or whatever. That's within your own parameters and how you personally view things. But I personally feel like if this man has I feel like he has the right mindset, and I also feel like he has the resources to do it. So, I mean, obviously, the man loves his kids. He's
Right.
not going to do anything like he's not going to, do it knowing that he's not going to bring children in the world knowing he can't take care of them. So, I feel like if that's the way he wants to live his life, if that's the way he's rocking, then the next motherfucker who's gonna follow he's gonna follow his same footsteps. At least he has an example of how to do it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I wouldn't pass too much judgment. I do agree that it is kind of reckless because like bringing a child into the world is it's not a small thing. You know what I'm saying? This is a whole nother life you got to take care of. But at the same time, I feel like if anyone has the right mentality, at least for that type of situation, it's him.
Yeah, I never doubted that he didn't care for the kids or didn't think he could. Or yeah, I know I would think he would be invested in all of them. It's just a rationale behind it is what I'm. But yeah,
that's also very. I agree.
And I just want to reiterate, if anyone's listening to this podcast, if you are in a poly relationship, I'm not saying that it's anything wrong. I'm just saying the way to go about it, it's different ways to go about it. And it has to have some kind of integrity and plan behind it, because broken people getting with broken people, and it's multiple people in the poly relationship, ridiculous. We don't need more mentally ill people. We have enough.
Any last words before we move on to our next topic?
She's biracial.
She's a biracial girl.
Fada, really?
Hey, that's his type. He got a type.
Oh, man.
Also, last thing, and then we move on. I noticed one thing he did say that kind of caught my interest. He said, "I'm gonna stop talking about politics and issues because it seems like no one cares." He seen them come after him. He said, "I'm never doing that again," which is smart. Just this is why I always say, celebrities can't be really not role models, but if you really gonna do that, you really got to do it. But if it's messing with your money, you got to know that's the first thing they'll try to hit. So I'm glad he stopped doing that. I hope that Dr. Sebi documentary he's working on really comes to fruition. But other than that, just make your money and do you.
Wait, who's doing that? He's doing that
Nick
too?
Cannon. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Cannon.
A Dr. Sebi documentary?
Yeah.
He's been working on that for some years.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That just gave me a whole new perspective on what's going on.
I see.
All right. I think you know what I'm talking about, right, Kissel?
Yeah. He's like,
Oh man. All right.
Dr. Sebi book, I don't know if they can come after me. So before I leave this earth, I need to make as much kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Sebi did. Yep, Dr. Sebi had a kid around 80 before he died too.
That's how I know his shit. That's how I know he wasn't capping. Because there's a lot of people that try to discredit Dr. Sebi and say it's pseudoscience and say his shit don't work. That man had a baby at 80. I am not discrediting anything that man.
Oh no, that's why. It's because he ain't wrong. It's because he ain't wrong. That's the problem.
Bro, they took everybody associated with him.
Every celebrity associated with him, somehow something happens. What's her name? Lisa Left Eye from TLC.
Yeah.
Nipsey. Every time this guy, because he's right. That's why, and he's black. That's why.
Oh man, that reminds me. I need to watch that whole TLC. Was it Behind the Music?
Yeah.
I need to watch that again. I need to find it. I know it's on YouTube somewhere. Because they was talking about. I remember And we don't have to go down this rabbit hole. They was talking about everybody that Sebi was with, like something happens to him.
Wow.
It's like
That's
I meant to
crazy.
go down a rabbit hole. Thank you, Diva. Remind me. That's something that I'm gonna
Bro, we
look
keep
at for
talking about
hours.
these rabbit holes. We're gonna dedicate a whole episode to one. Y'all keep playing.
That's what. Well, we're gonna get to one of them later on. So, but that's why I'm trying to get rid of these topics first. Let's talk about Cuomo. Announces resignation Tuesday over a barrage of sexual harassment allegations in a fall from grace. A year after he was widely hauled nationally for his detailed daily briefings of leadership during some of the darkest days of the COVID-19 pandemic. By turns defiant and chastened, the 63-year-old Democrat emphatically denied intentionally mistreating women and called the pressure for his ouster politically motivated. But he said that fighting back in this too hot political climate was subject to state of months of turmoil. Uh, so basically, he's stepping down, and a lot of people are really happy about it. I know Joe Budden asked him to stand down, and um, seems like he's finally doing it. So how do y'all feel about Cuomo standing down? I'm gonna start with you, Crystal.
I don't even know where to start because it's so sad that it took sexual accusations to get him to resign when he's done far more worse things. I think that him stepping down is a big move, but that's not going to fix New York. That's not. It's a very small win. It's a very small win. I'm like trying to figure out what took so fucking long, and it took a sexual harassment lawsuit. That's what it took. Not the deaths of older people because of, C-19, but hey, it took that. Okay.
It's like Me Too's their secret weapon. When it comes to those of popularity in politics, it's like Me Too. If you want to make sure you distract from something else, or you just say Me Too it, son, just throw that in it, then we'll pay attention. But kids, or what's really going on in the real world, the important things that will change our lives, our livelihoods, nah. No one bats an eye.
See, Wolf, what you just said is part of why I've always said like the whole Me Too movement, even though why is Ray on here twice? I get where
To kick me out.
the intent was, but at the end of the day, it's almost been reduced to a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Because just I'm sorry, the timings of which like a lot of these accusations come out has been suspect as fuck.
Yep.
Not to mention like that going on, touching on what Crystal just said, with everything else that Cuomo is responsible for, like the damage is done. The damage is fucking done. Get him out of there before he can do any further harm. Okay, I guess that's a victory, but the manner in which it was done is and it's like nothing you do can restore the lives of these people he's responsible for, whose deaths he's responsible for. Excuse me.
And they act like the thing is isn't his brother part of
CNN?
Okay. So of someone with that mindset. And it was also said that he was pulling strings for his brother to get certain things that he didn't have access to. What in your right fucking mind would tell you that anyone that Cuomo is associated with, bloodline, that he still won't find a way to get what he wants to manipulate the system? This is what I'm talking about. You got one person out, but his brother is just as guilty. It's stuff that his brother has done behind closed doors that I'm sure another sex scandal would pop up, and then they're like, okay, we'll get him off. But it's going to take a Me Too movement or something to that effect to overthrow him to get people out of the system of manipulation and using our tax dollars to do whatever the fuck they want to do that's very illegal. So it is what it is.
Damn.
So,
And I've been saying this was gonna happen. I said it. I've been saying this was gonna. I was like, yo, they're gonna let this guy. They're gonna let it be the sexual thing. I bet you. I knew it because he was already being sued by a whole bunch of families for the nursing home thing. But I knew they're gonna do that, so you just step down, just disappear, and people are gonna wonder what happened.
This is him cutting his losses. That's all this is, him cutting his losses.
Yeah.
He knows what he faces if they come at his head for all the bullshit he's responsible for regarding the pandemic. He knows what he's facing in regards to that. And he doesn't want that smoke.
Damn, sounds like another white man getting away with shit. My bad, father. What was you about to say?
He said another white man getting away with shit.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong at all. Like I just think this whole situation is crazy. But I'm not surprised that someone like Cuomo would, be accused of something like that. Because when you have that type of power, you the governor of New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's gonna get to your head. And the fact that his brother is on CNN, like he can't. Like I have seen segments where this man, like he tries so hard, and I actually kind of do feel a little bit bad for him because he tries so hard not to like have a side, and he tries so hard not to, make it seem like he's trying to justify his brother's like accidents and like that. He tries to stay quiet and stay out of the way, but the man K's like, that's your blood brother, bro. He got you out here looking dumb on TV. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, maybe he doesn't have his own dirt as well, but that's kind of sad, yo. Your family out there just wilding and you got to be on TV to everybody looking at your face. Y'all look alike and shit.
Yo, it's going to be a lot of that ain't me. That's the other Cuomo. Y'all can't even have the same damn haircut now.
I know Thanksgiving in that house about to be a motherfucker.
I think they call him Fredo. Don't they call him Fredo from The Godfather? That's what New Yorkers call him. Because he's the little snitch brother.
Yeah, New Yorkers are sad.
I don't know.
New York doesn't.
Cuomo gave me gothic vibes, like Gotham vibes.
Yep.
Am I the only one?
Day one, I got that. Day one, before I even knew what I know, like day one, I was like, this is something about this dude, yo. It's like straight out of a comic book, son. The way he talk, like, how you getting away? You sound like a fucking mobster as the fucking governor, and to getting away with that is something straight out of Gotham, straight up.
Is it Cuomo Italian?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, which makes even more sense now. Yeah. Crystal, you said this is like a small win. So, what do you think would be a big win if it happened in New York? What would you say would be a big win?
I would say a big win would be to reassess exactly who's sitting on the board to make all the decisions, especially with this pandemic. It's a clear view of the agenda that they have for New York City. Because right now, if you can get someone like that to do that much damage with New York change, I think I went down there in 2019. The street change, the way they do things, the bodegas change. I'm not saying that change is not good, but it's horrible when people can't even live properly with a 16-hourly job. Because I remember when before I left New York, you could survive there. Now it's damn near like Cali. No offense to Cali, but New York and Cali are day and night. the shit that's
Isn't the mayor from Cali?
taken over.
Man,
Oh my god.
I seen a video earlier today. It's this Amazon worker who works out of they one spot in Staten Island.
Oh, you
This lady makes 20 plus an hour, but she's fucking homeless.
$20 an hour.
Living
I
out her
made 20
car.
an hour before the pandemic. What?
Living out her car.
Yo.
Ain't no way you making 20 plus an hour and you living out your car with your kids. That don't make sense.
Mm.
Sounds like the economy I've been bitching about. It's like people making livable wages and yet still homeless. Everything's going up, but pay rates.
Exactly.
Like I've been saying.
And I work for
no one
Amazon
sees a problem
myself.
with this.
I work for them myself, so I know you might get that wage, but the hours, no, it don't matter.
How many hours do you work? I'm curious.
Well, for me, it was like 4.5 or 3
Oh.
per shift. And the way it worked for me is you had to go in you had to go on your phone. Everything's, digital. So you have to go on your phone and sign in at the right time. One day a week, assign like Thursday at like 6:00. And you have to make sure it's like first come, first serve. So you better hope you fill up as much of your days as possible before someone else does. And you better hope your connection's fast enough or your phone's fast enough to refresh to hit the times you want to best for you, because you got to think and choose at the same time to fill up that schedule and make sure it works for you too at the same time and all that. So you're struggling to eat. So you might have the job, but you ain't gonna, by the time you find something, it'll be so sparse and spread out. You might get two days a week. Or nothing if you're too slow or if you forget to sign in to check the schedule. So they're saying they're hiring all these people. Yeah, they're hiring all these people. It's all up there. They're hiring all these people. Yeah, these people have jobs. Okay, yeah, it will show that. But are they working? No.
I mean, what did you do while you were there? Like, what facility?
Oh, I was a shopper.
What was you doing?
I was a shopper. I was assigned to a grocery store. And you shop. So when you go on Amazon Fresh, you go online and order your food, your groceries.
Okay.
I'm the guy that goes and picks up what you ordered.
Oh,
I go through the grocery stores and pick up everything in the aisles and bag it up so the driver could come bring it to you.
Because I was working for Amazon a couple of years back when I was in Virginia. I worked at one of their fulfillment centers. It was Petersburg, Virginia. And I did a little bit of everything. I was packing boxes at one point. I was a picker. I was the guy going through all of their storage areas and stuff, looking for items that people would order. Like as an order is placed on the internet, I was one of the guys grabbing it to start the process of sending it to your ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was working. I would do anywhere between 8 to 10 hour shifts, and I was actually working 5 days a week.
I wish I was that lucky.
Dang. Any last words before we move on to our final topic?
We live in a society.
Couldn't said it better myself.
That's it.
we really do live in a society. You make it 20 an hour and you still homeless? Like, what?
Yeah, because some people, they go to colleges, they go in debt, and then because they don't want their money to be taken from their job.
But also in the case that I was talking about, it's not even that. It's just she can't find anywhere affordable in New York. It's just no.
Yo, I don't care.
Well, why doesn't she just move? Why doesn't she just move? That's what somebody gonna say.
She fucking can't because her entire check is spent on, just her trying to goddamn live.
Well, she needs to pull herself by her bootstraps. This is America. Literally, fuck your bootstraps. I couldn't.
I do not care what anybody says. Economically wise, we are not better off than our grandparents.
At
No.
Technology
all.
wise,
Worse.
yes.
Worse.
Economically wise, we are so much worse. uh, the last topic of the day. Now, um, we was talking about the emancipation of emasculation of the black man, and we almost went down that rabbit hole, but I was like, we was trying to save it for another week. So I figured this time we probably could, go down the emasculation of a black man, especially in today's society. D Wolf, I want to start with you. Like, how do you feel about emasculation, or do you think there is an emasculation of a black man? So I'm gonna start with you.
There is. Wow. It's basically historical. Um, when they say, like, you see like movies that, what's this guy's name? Damn, that movie where basically it confirms that we basically ran the world, right? We were kings, basically.
We was king.
Mansa Musa?
Yeah, we was kings. Yeah, what was the name of that movie though?
Was it Mansa Musa?
No, he has a series. It's a series of documentaries. God, and he gets lit up on Twitter all the time. I forgot his name. Bald dude, black. Tariq Nasheed. There we go. Him. His movies. His
Hidden
documentaries.
Colors.
Hidden
Colors.
Colors.
Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. So basically, all that, they ain't lying. All right. So around the time after the Black Plague, that all just disappeared. Everything got whitewashed in history. So then now we could fast forward to slavery and all that. They know our power. And today through media now, we see how we are being emasculated. We gave all the examples the last time. But if you see, we are either being hyper-masculine or emasculated. So there's always, like, nowadays, just think about it. Look at all the shows, if you go on Netflix, right? And a show is about, let's say Luke Cage, when that appeared on Netflix. When you signed in, you will see, what's her name? The Fox. What's her name? The cop that was helping him in the show. She will be in the front. Or when you look at Iron Fist, the chick is in the front. That's been happening like a lot, especially since around 2016, because everything became about, SJWs just popped out of nowhere and everything just became about color, race, this, that, and the other, sexuality. All that just got pushed hard. And that's what I noticed. I could not sign in. I'm like, yo, this is not his show. This is not her show. Why is she here? And then you see there's a lot of, like, in TV shows, there's a lot of gay characters. Remember True Blood? And like they were being pushed as a forefront of like the best character and all that stuff. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having those characters at all. But I'm saying they're being pushed in the forefront. The same thing's happening with comics. They're race swapping, and the woman always has to come and save the day, and the man just can't do anything anymore. The recent example is this He-Man shit on Netflix. They promised He-Man. I knew this was going to happen because, first of all, this is Netflix, and secondly, the title did not have his name in it. It just said Masters of the Universe. So I said, okay, I see what's going to happen. So they're showing the trailers, this He-Man swinging the sword, all that shit. I'm like, yeah, okay, watch when it happens. And everybody who knows what I know was like, yep, I told y'all. Because when it came out, it was all about Tila, the girl, his female sidekick. Spoiler alert, he dies, but he gets resurrected. But he dies, and it's all about her. And all the fans are, there's a backlash. And not only that, her friend, they said it's her friend, but we know it's her girlfriend. It's the black girl. And we already had this problem with Hollywood killing off black people. Like, they can't help themselves. Like, if you remember, even in Transformers, that's how deep they'll go with this. Even in remember the first Transformers live action movie? Who's the first?
Jazz.
Thank you. I mean, they
remember
went that far. That's a reach, yo. You could have killed anyone. You could have killed the medic because he was Ratchet. He was this worst character. You could have done that, you know. But no, and I had a feeling that was gonna happen when I was watching it too. I was praying it wouldn't happen, but it didn't work. It still happened, and he died the worst way. All that shit. It's not just the gay agenda. It's just to keep us down, and that's really the agenda. Is to keep us down. Seriously, they don't want us to pass in a certain point. They actually don't want manly alpha males doing anything because they're doing the same thing with white men. They don't first. What do all these SJWs complain about? Toxic white males. Oh, and all of them are always apologizing and shit. A lot of them are soy boys. If you see them, like there's no masculine men left in the white race at all. You know. So it's not just them, but because of us, we're the ones that, if anything, we're the ones that could break us out of this. Black men would just like, because I said in a video on my YouTube channel, I said, you know what's funny? It's usually a joke, but it's true. Do you realize that black men are we're the ones that talk about conspiracy theories more than anyone else? Like we'll sit down and we'll just talk about this shit because like somehow we know, like we just know. And like fast forward, these things come out like, yo, remember back in the day we used to talk about this shit? It's like we just know, and they know we know, and they want to keep that from happening. So they're all through the media and all that stuff. Every year there's a slave. Every other year there's a slavery movie. Every other year there's some cop killing some black. What was that movie? With the dude from Black Panther and.
you're thinking of Fruitvale Station with Michael B. Jordan.
No. Crystal, you're talking about this movie.
Us?
With the couple and they're running from the cops.
Oh, Queen and Slim.
Queen and Slim.
Yeah, things like that.
Okay.
Now, not to say these things didn't exist, but these things are pushed hard to keep our minds on these things. So we're always fighting. And while we're fighting, we're destroying ourselves and each other. You understand? Because we understand this history. We know what to look for. We know how to handle it. But they're holding our hands. They're pushing it and bombarding us with this shit. So we can't even have time to even think of being peaceful amongst each other. Think of actually sitting down to actually have a thought about what is our history? What is our real history? Not what they keep bombarding us with where we have an emotional reaction, because we are focused on what we have an emotional reaction to, not what actually happened or what more between the lines we could find, because we don't know our history. Why does every race know their history, but we don't? The most we know is slavery. The most we know is Africa. We don't know what we did in Europe. We don't know what we did in the Americas. A lot of people don't know that Native Americans are actually black. They think they forgot about the whole Spaniards coming over to North America and taking over. Why do you think they look like that today? They were black originally. And the tribes that escaped that stayed black. And then when the settlers came in, what's up? Why do you think there were black slave holders? Because they were free. They had that land. We're not taught this. We're only taught about the horrors. And they teach the horrors to us only. A lot of these races have a lot of horror stories, but the ones that are in charge and the ones that have it the worst, it's funny, their stories get pushed the most. Because again, who's running the music industry and the film industry? And what's the first name you call somebody when you disagree with them at this point? Or if you mention a point in history, you call them Nazi immediately, right? I would think the people who are running shit will like to use it as a weapon all the time. And then now there's us, they're running shit, they're the victims, and we're saying to ourselves, oh, we could do that. But at the same time, they're being slick and having us find each other so we won't figure that part out. Because there's no excuse for us not to do that unless we're being purposely held down. So there is a gay agenda, but it's not a gay agenda just to have a gay agenda so gays could run the world or anything like that. No, they just realize, no, Black families mostly are conservative. They're usually in a two-parent household or a successful household, fully nuclear family. That's how it was until, the whole drug thing went down with Biden's bill and all before that in the 80s. So, and in the 70s when they're dropping drugs, what neighborhoods? Because they know we're capable. In the 60s, we were still thriving. How come we were thriving still under Jim Crow? because we kept to ourselves, we did our shit. And even before that, why until after the civil rights and shit started happening? So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So yeah, there is a gay agenda, but it's not solely just for gays. It's just, it's just for us, basically. Nobody's supposed to be awake. Nobody's supposed to think anymore. We're just supposed to stay here and fight and look to these people who we vote for to save us.
Father, you got anything to say?
Wow. So I want to start with an excerpt from a document that I downloaded a few months ago. It's called Killing Boogeyman, Phallicism and the Misandric Mischaracterizations of Black Males in Theory by Professor Tommy J. Curry. And Professor Tommy J. Curry is actually a professor, and I think he's in Sweden right now. And he basically teaches Black male studies, which is basically a deeper look into the characterization of Black men and how Black men throughout the history of the modern era have been mischaracterized and demonized throughout history. And I'm going to read this excerpt. So it says here that Black men are characterized by gender theory, so it is easy to rationalize these phobias, which interpret Black men as patriarchal, violent, and indifferent to the suffering of others as method. Despite decades of social science research showing Black males experience higher rates of employment discrimination than and less preference to their female counterpart due to the association of criminality, fear, and aggression with Black maleness, underrepresentation in higher educational attainment, a disproportionate risk of statutory rape and sexual coercion as children and young adults, higher rates of intimate partner violence and homicide, and are more routinely targets of lethal violence in the United States. Contemporary theories of Black masculinity suggest toxicity is the cause of Black male deviance and maladjustments rather than the cultural and structural realities that confront Black men and boys as racialized outgroup males in the United States. So, with that being said, there has always been a history to subjugate the Black man. And they have historically used many, many, many different ways of doing this. We could talk about the Tuskegee experiments. We could talk about the fact that Black men have fought in every war the United States has ever been in ever since it was an institution. We can talk about how Black men were not even really allowed to be men in society because they were demasculinized by, again, not getting employed in certain places. I remember there was talking about when the GI Bill became a thing, Black males were excluded from the GI Bill, so there was no way for them to build wealth the way their white counterparts did. Like so many things have been stacked against Black men. We don't even get sympathy for our deaths as much as a lot of other people do. If you ever notice, when Black men die, when it becomes at the hands of the police or at the hands of other Black men, there's always a sort of stigma associated with it. We always give the RIPs and we pour the little liquor bottles and things like that. But when that person is being represented in the media, it's always the mugshot. They always want to portray a negative image of that man. When we talk about sports, you know what I'm saying? When we look at drafts, what's the number one thing that they do? They like to peddle the single Black mother that had to work 2-3 jobs just to support this athlete. And now the athlete has made it to the NFL, so now he can pay it forward. That has been a running gag in the NFL draft for many, 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 many years. So, and what's very interesting about it is that when it comes to Black men and our masculinity, when you research like ancient African history, and also when you research American history, you come to find out that us as Black men, we don't need to project our masculinity because it's already innate within us. You know what I mean? We take care of our family because that's just what we do. When there's shit to be taken care of, that's what we're gonna do because we understand that we don't just live with our families, we live in a community, we live in a village. Especially me coming from a matrilineal people where the woman, like you get certain properties and values and assets based on who your mother is. us as men, we know that our responsibility not only lies with providing, but also protecting and also making sure that we solve the problems within our community. That is the first and foremost. We're not even really going to do anything less. But when you research, European history, and when you research how, Europeans did things back in the days, it was pretty much the exact opposite of how we operate. These were a warmongering people. These people were always fighting throughout the history of Europe. When you talk about Europe, it's always about conquest. It's always about who can conquer who. The English, the Germans, the French, the Nordic people, the Vikings, like they were always in a perpetual state of war every time. You look at the Balkans, look at their history, look at the Slavic history, look at the shit that happened in Russia and all those countries. They've always had histories of violence. Now, in Africa, yes, we had our battles, we had our beefs, we had our things like that. We had, I'm not saying that we were any better in comparison, but what we did not do is we did not go to other lands and conquer them to the point where people were borderline extinct. But you come to find out Europeans traveled all over the globe. As a matter of fact, there's that story of the Pope dividing the earth in two and saying this is Portugal's and this is Spain. And those people went over to a whole bunch of different places in Africa, in Asia, in North and South America, and basically pillaged to the point where you cannot even find any shred of the original people that inhabited there. They're either mixed race or they have assimilated to a culture that wasn't theirs to begin with in the first place. So you talk about the emasculization of Black males, not to just say that, Black men, we're victims and, things like that. But we're trying to say there is a pattern, because Black men are not the only people that have had to suffer this type of predicament. Look at what happened to the Native Americans. Look at the state that they have been reduced to because these invaders came over to their land. Look at what happened in South America. There was even talking about in Argentina, most of the Black people in that country basically disappeared. Nobody knows what happened, but a historical account says that Argentina used most of their Black population to fight in their wars, which is why there's barely any left. You know what I mean? So this is not just a U.S. thing. This is a global thing. You know what I'm saying? Because of European assimilation and because of Western society placing its influence on so many countries that don't resonate with what they were trying to do, it destroyed the world as a result. So now you have countries that they overmine, they overfish, because now they have to make profit. Because these people said, if you want to be a player in our club, you have to make these profits. So nothing is really natural anymore. Then on top of that, not only do you have that, but look at the cultures of Western society. Look at how many times people have to talk about, what about me and my rights? The LGBT did it, they got bills passed for them. The Asians did it, they got a bill passed for them. But when it comes to Black people specifically, there is almost no resources allocated towards us. They make it seem like we're just a monolithic entity that has stayed in the United States after our servitude to this country. That's why they don't have incentive to actually improve the conditions of Black people in America, because it doesn't benefit them. It benefits America for men to be demasculinized, and it benefits America for Black women to take up the role of superwoman and save everybody with that damn cape. And then when we try to tell these sisters, put the cape down, you don't need to cape for these people, they come look at us. We're the ones that are homophobic. We're the ones that are sexist. We're the ones that are, the ultimate representation of the patriarchy and how oppressive it is, when Black men are not the people historically doing these things. We all know who is doing these things, yet we are the ones that get blamed for their affliction. So it's by design.
Crystal. Now you heard what Father said. Remember I said the same thing like last week about who conquers and who just settles down and, do their thing in wherever land. If they find a new land, nobody's there. They just, But the other side, whatever land they find, they're like, oh, move up, and they start pillaging everything. We just had that conversation, son. You're 100%. You're 100%.
See?
Oh my God. Huh? But
Dion, you
we're
got
wrong, and
anything?
we feel it though. We feel it. It's insane.
All right. So, in terms of actually combating the emasculization of black men, how do we go about that? What can be done in regards to, just stopping the bullshit?
You really want an answer to that?
And my answer is we've already done it many of times, and every time we have done it, they try to shut us down, and then they take from us, and then call it their own.
Which means it's not working. So
No, it means it did work. They're just stealing our ideas, which is what they do a lot.
But to
Yo,
answer your question, Dion, separation. That's how you do it. And the
yeah, I was
reason
gonna
why,
say, just build our own, just build our communities, yo.
yeah,
You see what they
separation.
doing, and they safe, yo. They got their own towns. We don't. We just have,
Literally.
we have like the projects or the hood or something like. We don't have our little whatever town.
And the
But
thing about
if you're
the
straight
hood,
off the boat from Africa, they have their town. You have little Ethiopia in LA. I lived right by there. Why don't we have?
Yeah.
Where's the little
Exactly.
Jamaica? Where's the little? Where's that? That's what we have to do. And we have to stop begging these motherfuckers, because I'm saying the government is to control your mind. Govern to control meant mind. Let's stop fucking with these people. They're the cause of the shit anyway. Because they took us from the home so the woman could go to them.
Yep.
They took us from the home so if shit goes down, who they calling 911, right? And the cops can't tell who from the next. They killed the wrong young man. Where if you had your husband to handle it, he'll handle it. Or the brother, or the uncle, or even the fucking son will handle it. But we're always quick, even when it comes to our own shit, when it comes to our own little spats, we have to call 911. Nah, man, get the uncle, get the neighbor, let's let them be the last resort. Because that's not their job. Their job is to protect and serve us. We didn't call you yet. Stay in your lane, yo. We got this. That's why we get guns. That's why we have guns too. Step back. We'll call you if we need you, or we'll call you when we're done handling this. Then you start your investigation and clean the shit up. Then it's back to business. We don't think that way, because the automatic thought is to sue or to call 911 or to, it's never, oh, let me make mine, let me do this, let me do it ourselves. Yo, let's get together, let's think of this. Because we could do anything, we're powerful. If we could come together, make all these shows, all this fucking amazing music we can make, son, we could get together and build a community. It's not hard. It's not hard. We just have to get together. Let's not tell our business out there, and let's not include these so-called allies. They're not. Let's listen to Malcolm here. He's 100% right on that. He is right 100%. On that in everything that's happened today, even down to the BLM protests. They were fucking shit up. Who was breaking down the businesses of black people? It wasn't the black people in BLM. It was the white people that was helping, and the people in the buildings like, yo, this ain't BLM, and they're trying to fight them, and they're trying to. Then when the story comes out, the store owners are the bad guys. What?
Yeah.
So just listen, fuck this ally shit. I'm not saying be racist. I'm not saying not talk to your friends or anything like that. You can have a sister that's white. That's fine. You could be that close. But when it comes to your community and your people, let's keep that shit in house and grow first. They do that. Why can't we? And I dare somebody to say we're being racist by doing it. I dare them, because all of y'all do it. All y'all do it. Jews have their own corner. Italians have their own corner. Chinese have their own corner, and they have nothing to fucking bitch about too. Why is that? Because we call in people, and no one else is.
And it's very interesting that you say that, because I was just having this conversation with somebody that us gatekeeping our stuff is not racist. Us gatekeeping our stuff means that our stuff has value. You are not just supposed to come into a community and just take their shit. That's not how that works. You have to be invited. Not only do you have to be invited, but you have to be vetted. Other races of people vet people before they come into their communities. That's why you don't see it's the particular reason why it is so easy for Chinese people to build a whole bunch of Chinese places in America, because a lot of Chinese restaurants, they have similar food, they have similar aesthetic, because they all have like a general guideline, they all have a general code with each other. Everything is uniform. That's why they're able to build. That's why you can see 100 Chinese restaurants in a city and they're all fucking successful, because they share their wealth with each other. That's what they do. When you come, if a Chinese comes to America, Chinese look out for Chinese. That's their code. You know what I'm saying? And that's separatist. That's a separatist thing to do. They have literally separated themselves and created their own lane in a society that isn't theirs, because that is what you do with your people. But with
there's
black
nothing
folks,
wrong with that.
But with black folks, we have been so misinformed that we think doing for ourselves is racist. Well, why can't other people partake? Oh, you trying to do segregation again? You damn right I'm trying to bring segregation back, because at least with segregation we had our own shit and we created the value. So if you wanted to partake, you had to be vetted if you wanted to come in. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is that in certain places, black people aren't used to such a thing. Black people have been so subjugated that they are not used to what power actually looks like. They are not used to seeing self-determination. They think that someone that does for self is someone that is taking away from other communities because it's been done to them so many times. But that's not the case. When you build your foundation and your foundation is strong, and you protect your foundation with people that are loyal to the code that you have put down for your community to adhere, and you have consequences for those who go outside of the code, then that's when you start to see shit change. But until black people remove the white supremacist ideologies away from their collective consciousness, you won't see that, because we've been taught that everything is supposed to be colorblind. We've been told that we're supposed to love everybody like the good Lord says, and we gotta forgive everybody that transgresses us, which is why the Botham John fucking case pissed me the fuck off when that brother was over there cooning, sitting there talking about I forgives you. You know what I mean? Like, it's shit like that that makes other people look at us like the way they do. And I can't blame them for looking at us that way, because we allowed this. Us as a people collectively allowed this. We are supposed to be examples for our children to follow, to be better people and to serve our communities. But we can't fucking do that, because we have people from on both sides of the coin, both Democrats and Republicans, whatever you want to call it, liberal, conservative. We have people in this country that want to subjugate black people and keep them at the bottom, so other races of people can climb over us and get their resources. You know what I'm saying? Which is what I was saying in the other podcast. Like, all of these movements that are coming about, the Stop Asian Hates and the Pride movements and shit like that. Look where all that shit came from. What was the foundation of those movements? Where did they get the blueprint for them? Where does anybody get any type of protesting blueprint from? Us. Because we the ones that put it down. If it wasn't for our contributions, if it wasn't for the shit that we done put down and the blood that we bled, other people wouldn't get to the point where they have now. But because they want to assimilate so bad to white supremacist society, because that's where the riches are, that's where the resources are, they step on us to do it. That's just how it is. So if we separate ourselves and we don't allow our children to assimilate to this society, then we start to see the change that you were talking about, Dion. And also, I want to say one more thing before I end. A good example of this, regardless of whether you agree with them or not, is the Nation of Islam. Because I promise you, no black people in America will be more devoted and dedicated and disciplined as somebody from the Nation of Islam. And that's why, me personally, I give all my respect to those brothers and sisters, because they have a code. They have something that they believe in, and they believe it to the point where if you try to cross them, they have the army to deal with you. If somebody in the Nation of Islam does something that contradicts the main tenets of what they believe in, there will be consequences for that person. These are things I just talked about when you have a community that's self-sufficient. They have the blueprint, they have the code. Is it perfect? No. Nothing. I mean, you're gonna have situations where you may look at them funny. Of course, there may be some points in their history where people have criticism and have skepticism and things like that. But for the most part, if you want an example of how to do it, look at the Nation of Islam.
Simple.
Chris, oh,
All you gotta do is rule ourselves. It's that simple.
Chris, you got anything to say?
I do. And I know this is quite a sensitive topic because the solutions are endless, but they have yet to be implemented properly. So, suicide is the third leading cause of death of Black men. So when you have a combination of the supposedly missing Black father in homes, mothers solely raising Black boys to eventually be kings, which is a very hard job, when boys look at the visual representation of family to know what to do when they're coming into their manhood. So that's very difficult when they see, in some cases, in some family dynamics, men coming in and out of their home. They really can't get a grasp of what to expect from a man except for the media. And as you know, the media represents the Black boy as the troublemaker in most movies, or the gangster, or someone who's troubled all the time. It's not right, but it does happen. It makes the most money versus a man on TV representing to be a doctor, like Bill Cosby, or a student that, well, what's that show with the college back in the day with Dwayne and Whitley?
Different world.
A Different World. A Different World. That was the best representation, along with Bill Cosby show, that if the mother is working her ass off and she's raising a Black boy and he's looking at TV, that was the best representation to kind of help guide him in an environment possibly that's not geared towards his success. It's geared towards his demise. The Black men are typically known to be athletes because they are scientifically proven to be stronger than the other races genetically. All right, we have all those things lined up. Now, as you know, when people hunt, they go for the strongest, right? They want to they want to feel good about themselves. So by finding the biggest, baddest lion and taking it down, they feel like someone. I feel like society has done that to the Black man by putting him in fucking skirts, by just doing things that takes away his manhood and his strength in different ways, indirectly and directly. Okay? I don't see how this can continue to go on and him not be, the Black man not be emasculated in some way, shape, or form. Even indirectly. It's horrible. It happens in every dynamics of our society, in schools, at work, any chance. Then you want him to be mentally sane to raise a full family with his manhood intact? No, that is not going to happen unless we change how we do things within our culture, within our ethnic group. It's a serious problem that needs to be addressed. Being that suicide is the third leading cause of death of Black men, there should be mental facilities set up for free all around this country. But it seems like something we're going to have to do. It seems we're going to have to set up facilities to cater to little Black boys, to help them visualize what a man is supposed to do, and also have a mental facility for men that feel they can't be strong anymore. Like telling a Black man not to cry, he should be able to cry in the comfort of his home, either by himself, okay, without being judged by his friends when he does vent to them, or by the woman he chooses to be at his side. We need to start normalizing Black men crying. We need to start normalizing him saying, hey, I cannot pay all the bills by my damn self. This boss is on my case. Whatever the case is, he should have support. I don't think there's enough fucking support for black men. Even when it comes to, say, for instance, God forbid, I don't want to get too personal, but I've seen some situations where black men had a wife or a girlfriend that had their child. That wife or girlfriend went on drugs or alcohol. And when he had got evicted, he's looking for now a shelter. No family. He's in this country by himself. He's from a different country. No fucking help at all. If he was a single mother, yeah, shelter's there for him, yada, yada. But I've seen some situations because he was a man with a child. They said, well, we only deal with single moms or abused moms. Or they don't have programs for a man like, so you expect him to be on top of everything in a situation like that without support, proper support? That's not going to happen. It's easy for the black man to get emasculated because he don't have the right support system from within his community, from within his ethnic group of people, or from outside. He's just going along with society, making sure that he can keep them enough distance that they don't fuck him up totally mentally and he doesn't go crazy.
Yep. 100%.
I've always said that black people move the culture, especially like black men. It seems like, and if always proven, ever even when I was born in '88, like I've always said, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before. If anybody would have asked me if you could go back in time to any place in time, I'd have said the '90s because I felt like the '90s, in my opinion, is where like I seen this like loads of like black renaissance from like people being business moguls to where you're seeing most of our beloved black actors that we've loved then and are still loved today. And I realized that a lot of them get it from the heroes back then, like the Muhammad Ali's, your Jim Browns, and like even your Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, for where you see a lot of strong black men. But even then, I realized like if you look into those heroes, a lot of them like they wasn't like them. Like anybody, Martin Luther King wasn't like. Um, the honorable Muhammad's not liked. Louis Farrakhan, he's still not like a lot of, especially if you're Jewish. A lot of people do not like him because the way he feels about the Jews, even though he's repeatedly says, "I do not hate the Jews." Some people still look at him as anti-Semitic. So one thing I've always realized is you are hated now, but loved later. So it's one thing that I've noticed as a black man that even though like we built this country, they don't like us until like we're just long and gone, and then they remember how great we was. I want to get to a point where we're just loved now, and like just looked at honorable later. Because even now with Bill Cosby, like the man that who a lot of people know put so many black people through colleges, just like Crystal said, is like he put through so many people with his media and like with his money, he has put so many people through colleges, especially black people in general. And now he's forever gonna be known as quote unquote someone that's filed under sexual assault. The way that and then you look at other heroes like Eddie Griffin said, it seems like everybody leaves with an asterisk. And
Hmm.
then you learn your history, and it's just like it's always been like that. You learn the richest man in the world was once a black man, Mansa Musa. Like he had more money than most people like had today. So yeah, I seen a lot of that emasculation, even from our own. And I don't think we mean to do it on our own, but at the same
Mm-mm.
time, I do feel like we kind of like push our own. And I've always said there's nothing wrong with like I know a lot of people has a problem with man up. I've always said there's not a problem with man up, but it's how you bring about things. It's one thing you tell a kid to man up, but if you don't show him the way, he's just going to be lost. And
Exactly.
then um and then there's a lot of people who is just like they have this mentality of no one taught me, so you should learn on your own. Which is, in my opinion, that's not how it's supposed to be done. If you
That's
have
backwards
knowledge,
as
you should,
fuck.
yeah, if you have knowledge and this is something that can help me, you should be able to give it to help, pass along the knowledge. That way, I won't make the same mistakes and I can like help someone else. Like this stuff's supposed to be passed along. One thing I've always said about black people is like we don't have no tradition unless you have a real tight knit family. But most black people do not have traditions. I understand like most people you always gonna have that rebel, but a lot of us I've seen like we don't have no traditions. We don't have nothing to like pass along to. Generational wealth is now being talked about, even though like our parents have houses. Some of them is being gentrified, especially like in I know places like Brooklyn, whereas like the brownstones they didn't cost much back then, but now they're going for like what 500,000 and
Yep.
millions of dollars now. And I know it's going the same thing in San Francisco, and I think they did a movie on it too, where like some of them houses is like it was owned by the black person, but if they would have sold it, the market would have been sky like it's basically a lot of money if they sold it. So I've always said from a culture standpoint, black people we move everything when it comes to rock and roll, when it comes to jazz, when it comes to R&B, when it comes to hip hop. Like we're the one that's moving the culture to a point where we should be the one. What's the word I'm looking for? Monetizing our own instead of like having these white men like monetize it while we're getting the crumbs. They're making billions of dollars. I think T Pain said like the record labels made $17 billion off of just hip hop alone. And I know like Michael Jackson, he owned half of Sony, he owned half of Sony's publishing just for him to die, and like his family sold it for like what 500 million. But I
Oh no.
know it cost like at least billions of dollars. That man had 51% of the share, and they sold it for like for a little amount. I remember that pissed me off very much.
I mean,
Is it? Huh?
mm-mm. I'm just it. That just hurt. You just said
Man,
Now
that
imagine like
hurt.
like even then with Michael Jackson is like they try to label him as a weirdo, like he touched little boys, even though there was nothing. Like like Eddie Griffin said, they're trying to make all our black artists and our black men with leave with an asterisk and all that other stuff. So
That's a
and
see,
even
fact.
even in his timely death, they were still trying to label him as a molester, even though there was nothing that proved it. So that's where because of
the
the
main
celebrities,
thing
that's
people
where I
go
learned
off
about the
of, I
emasculation.
think, when it comes to Michael Jackson, I think once there was something about him, I guess paying off one family or whatever, when they was trying to come at him. This was a long time ago, so I don't remember specifics about it. But then somebody say something about him paying off somebody to like drop a case or some shit like that.
No.
I don't
You
know.
sure? If it wasn't
No,
if it
I
wasn't him, it
remember.
was somebody.
No, I
And
remember.
this was like late '90s, early 2000s. So like I don't remember all the specifics. It was somebody where like, oh, they came at him. He was claiming innocent, but he still turned around and um paid paid somebody to drop whatever case against him. But
A lot of celebrities do that. Some people just don't want to deal with the court case, so they'll just pay out of court settlements.
Cardi B done
yeah,
it before, and they still took her ass to court.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
why Bill Cosby was in the situation he was in now because he was actually they couldn't find no evidence, but he had to give up his right. But he was trying to settle it out in court, give her money and all that. That's why Bill Cosby was in the situation he was in. I know a lot of people. It's just
among
like because
other
what they say.
among other things with
Right.
that case, that entire Bill Cosby story was bullshit.
Yeah. So that like, I think it's being more and more prevalent that like they're really trying to get rid of black men, and I'm just still glad we still got some black men that I can say you could kind of look up to. And I don't know how most people feel about The Rock, but I still consider him black. I know he he's black and Samoan, but I've always kind of looked at him as a black man that people can look up to, and then just Elba, a Denzel Washington, Spike Lee when he's not being crazy, and even to a point Tyler Perry.
Oh,
I love Spike Lee, but yeah, sometimes he be going on this rant, and
mhm.
like even though
I agree with everyone you named except Tyler Perry. But in any
that man
case,
has his own that man has his own studio. Like say what you want, that man has his own studio. It's bigger than Universal and
but
some of the
going
studios
off
in
of everything
Hollywood.
we just spoke about, he plays a big part in how we've been portrayed recently. So it's a lot of I don't know how to feel about him.
He's tried to kill that character, and he like I told
It's
people
not.
I told people
Oh, hold
before
on.
I
he's
just want
been
y'all to know we're doing this again.
yeah I know we about to go back into that topic.
Damn.
But I was going to say something else. See, in regards to just how all of our, I guess, black heroes, black kings, whichever you want to refer to them as, you know, what's that saying? You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
That doesn't apply to
That's
black men though, because we've always been demonized. Even if
yeah,
we do good, it's still some way to demonize us.
yeah. Like
They'll find a way.
remember that guy? He threw rocks at the window in Chicago because like the Asian person was beating up on black women.
I saw,
So
I saw that.
Tyrone Muhammad.
yeah, thank you, Father Tyrone Muhammad. And then the next day when he got out, like people were still going back to that. Black women were still going back to that store getting weeds and all that other stuff. There's a lot of
Yeah,
he was doing right for his community. He was taking up for his black women, and
yeah,
yet they were still going there.
But you notice how in the video he said to come out and she was still there sitting her ass down for the pedicure or manicure. This
yeah.
is
Yeah,
what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. If the black man does not have the support of his own, what the fuck he gonna do? He's gonna have to hit the window with her in it because he has an agenda to do. And she's in the way. If you get in the way, you're gonna get hurt. So that's the confusion between some black men and some black women. The black man has an agenda to finally protect you because he couldn't when he was on the slave ship. And now that he wants to protect you, he's this, he's that. He ain't doing enough. What anger do you have in your motherfucking heart to go on YouTube and break down a whole man that's been good? That don't make any fucking sense. And that's why I be taking off bitches' heads. Just because I'm a woman don't mean I'm gonna be on your motherfucking side when you start spitting bullshit. Either support him or go and get the thug that you're so in love with. Because we got places to go. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing the good black man who's working his ass off, 9 to 5 fucking job, degree in his hand, working as a manager at McDonald's and could barely pay fucking rent. I'm tired of it. If he had
She
the right
ain't passing the vetting process.
that he needed, if he had the right support system that he needed and the right dynamic in the relationship and the right dynamic mentally, maybe, just maybe, the suicide rate of the black man would not be the third leading cause of his fucking death. But I'm not going to go on with this because I can go on all night. So I'll leave it alone.
question.
No, but we got to talk about homophobia in the black community.
The reason we can have that is because a little boy trying to be strong 24/7. You think that if they get a chance to get a grown ass man to pay for everything, if they bend down and take it, they wouldn't take it? You think that if they get a chance and they're not taught how to be a fucking man, they wouldn't do it. It's a lot of women raising these little black boys. I'm not saying all, I'm just saying some, that get taken advantage, molested by these motherfucking men that come in and out of her fucking house.
So that's why a lot of these rappers say yes.
So when you turn around and look at that boy when he gets to a grown-ass man liking other men, not by his choice, but because he was emasculated when he was a boy. He don't know the fucking difference, and he did get the mental help that he needed. So here we. The shit needs to stop. We need our black men in black family housing.
I got a question. Whether or not this has anything to do with anything, this is just a curiosity thing for me. So, amongst black men, the third leading cause of death amongst black men, suicide, right? So, what are the first two?
I think it's heart disease.
I mean, hold on. Where's?
I would guess it's anything stress related.
Yeah, I think it's heart. I think one of them is probably heart disease or diabetes or something like that.
Yeah, it's heart disease, cancer. Yeah, heart disease, cancer, and suicide.
Yeah,
Yep. Stress related. Yeah,
I figured.
But then again, it changes year to year. Like they said in like I'm reading another article. No, hold on. Never mind. This is for Gainesville, Georgia. Never mind. But in Gainesville, it's homicide. So it does depend on where you are. But I think in general, it's like, illness.
So, wait, who was it? D-Wolf that said that it's mostly the stress related?
yeah. I would say I would guess it's stress related because we're the ones that have to deal with all this bullshit with our women because of the influence with the racism that we have to deal with, all this shit. We have to deal with this, and we're the men, so we take it on as a challenge because we're the men. Instinctively we want to, but we don't have the guidance from our fathers to do so. So we're doing it the wrong way or doing it to appease what we think or what we've learned through other avenues, and we apply that. We don't know. We think we're doing the right thing. A lot of these gangsters think they're doing the right thing, but they didn't have the guidance. Because I don't think they're here just to fuck up the community, but they're all
and a lot of these. And then, as someone who's grown up around like gangsters, drug dealers, all that, a lot of these so-called thugs are thugging the entirely wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who's raised around that shit, a lot of these thugs are thugging entirely backwards. But the reason I asked that question was, I started thinking about how much stuff just like the black man tends to go through mentally, and how stress related shit can fuck with you physically. Hence why you have so many people. Okay, the suicide is one thing, but there are a lot of like stress related like physical ailments that I think warrant discussion as well.
Yes.
The heart issues and things like that.
It's the representation. It's basically how the black man feels about himself, because I've noticed people who feel great about themselves, they're always health nuts. Not that it's anything wrong with it, but I notice, like, even with me, when I feel down and out, the first thing I don't choose something healthy for my body. I choose fast food or something going to be quick. And then I have to ask myself, why am I grabbing something that has cancer agents attached to this that could eventually affect me or activate something in me for me to get full-blown cancer? What in my mind would allow me to keep doing this? You know what I'm saying? So the reason I think we even have heart disease widely in the Black community is because we're used to getting the leftover bullshit of food back in the day, and it just transferred over into modern day society for us. And at the same time, if society's so scared of the Black men when they're in elevators or when they go into a fancy building, like they don't live in a fancy building them damn self, but we're not going to go there. And people, if you put a Black man in a dress, he looks less scary, right, to them.
Yeah, less intimidating.
That's the right word. Less intimidating. So if you keep making the Black man gay, then what do you have to worry about?
So the only thing that I'm gonna say about that is like I do think that like people do conflate like black gay men into like a stereotype in which these are demasculinized males that have been created by society. I do think there is that stigma, but at the same time, like we have to understand we have like there is a history of buck breaking in the black community. Like
Yep.
if you like, especially when you go to places like Jamaica, which
Oh,
is why they are so against homosexuality, but people keep falsely labeling them as homophobic people. These people are not homophobic. These people have a collective memory of a slave practice called buck breaking, in which the male slaves used to get raped. This is historic. This is his like this shit happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like when you have a culture that suffered something like that, of course it's going to be understandable why they would look down upon something like homosexuality. Like D Wolf said earlier, the black community were usually conservative. Two-parent household. The nuclear family. We have communities and stuff. So when homosexuality, like when we're looking at it, it might not be in the way that you want it. It might not be in the way that you want it to be looked at, but you have to understand these are people that have had their identities taken from them. These are people that have had to assimilate to a society that is self-destructive by nature. So that's why we eat the crappy foods, because we had to make luxury out of gutter. Like there's so many things that have been afflicted towards us and predicated upon us. I always say this: if any other group in this world went through the same shit that black men and black women went through, they'd be extinct. Straight up.
Also, a lot of states. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with him.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say a lot of states had trouble back when they wanted to pass gay marriage. A lot of states had trouble because they couldn't get the black vote to do it. We didn't want that to happen. That was a big deal. That was a big deal. They're like, yo, come on, son. And that's why now, like, what, we feel obligated to join them when they like, nah, son, like, who's that father that kept saying that? Like, they got it from us.
Yeah, they
protest from us. Exactly. Yeah. So they didn't want us to do the same thing, I'm like, no, we don't believe in that. We believe you should do it, but don't bring us into that shit. You ain't suffering. You just want to get married. What are you talking about? Ain't no fight for us to join. You want us to be an ally.
That's your problem. We the first people to say that's your problem.
Yeah, because we're like, yo, we get it. Like, okay, you want to live, you do it, but what you're fighting for is nothing to warrant us coming over to you to do that. That you just want to get married. You're not trying to vote, or you're not like getting killed off in the street or anything like that. So what you need us for? Why you choose us? Why not someone else, yo?
The thing that is so interesting about that is when you actually read the history and research the history of the LGBTQ, specifically in America, it was primarily black folks putting in the work. Even within that, they keep talking about that woman, Marsha P. Johnson, who is a trans activist. Like, she was the one that was giving hell to them fucking cops and shit, and really actually started the movement for that. They've always done that, but it was only recently, and I found this very interesting, and I don't know if y'all peeped this or not, but it was only recently that in the LGBTQ flag they added the black and brown at the top when it wasn't there in the first place, and I'm like, y'all motherfuckers are pandering. And
I never noticed that,
bro. Yeah, like it's there, and I also remember when George Floyd got killed. And the Black Lives Matter movement, they was going real heavy, and there was protest everywhere and stuff. There used to be LGBT and trans flags with the Black Power thing into it, and I'm like, well, most of the people that are doing that don't know their history, because Black Power was a term coined by Kwame Ture, aka Stokely Carmichael, who was a Trinidadian who came to the United States, and he was the one that coined the term Black Power and, the whole Black Fist and, all that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure he wouldn't, not saying that like he wouldn't want, the LGBT in his group, but it wouldn't be a priority, because the priority is that we're all Black and we're all being oppressed by the same system. So we all need to fight. So we all need to, do our best to not be of that world and fight against it. But because now we have to talk about sexuality, we have to talk about gender identity, we have to talk about intersectionality, we have to talk about sexism, we have to talk about ableism, we have to talk about fat people, and now recently we have to talk about what's that bullshit? Whether motherfuckers is bathing or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole bunch of deflections, and we're not getting to the actual point. We're not getting to the original sin, which was slavery, which was the subjugation of black folks. You live in a country that killed people in order for it to become the empire that it is today. And nobody wants to have these conversations because we all have agendas to deflect from each other, when it should be, okay, everybody should divert their attention to the fact that there is a minority, there is a group in America that has built the wealth of this country, but they have not gotten their reparations. And this is a conversation that's always getting deflected because black people are so politically ignorant to the point where they'll support Democrats, they'll support Republicans, they'll support institutions that don't have their best interest at heart because they don't get it from their own community. That's why it's so easy for them to talk about shit that doesn't really fix our issues. Yeah, you can fix homophobia, but would that fix racism right now? Would it?
Hell no.
Exactly. So, and again, you know, it's not to be disrespectful, but study your enemy. Study the way these motherfuckers do things. You are not a person that is going to get very far if you think fighting racism and homophobia at the same time is it. Because I promise you, you will end up like Jussie Smollett.
Oh,
Ouch. Ouch.
Because he tried that shit. They tried that shit with him. He was attacked for being black and gay. Look at where he's ended up now.
He wasn't even the only one. Some other fool tried that too. That black NASCAR driver, I think he did that too.
Oh the yeah. Noose? With the noose?
The noose thing. Yeah, with the noose.
Yeah. These people,
and in no way or shape or form, when I speak about gay and the emasculation, I feel like it does go hand in hand. But if a man is making a choice to be with another man and he happens to be black, I welcome it. I don't have anything against it. But when I know it's being utilized as a fucking weapon against the black man who is straight, then I have a fucking problem, and I will talk about it.
As you should.
Yeah, even though Boozy and could be over the top, he does have points. And I've said that many a time. It's just that I wish he wasn't so over the top with it, especially when it comes to his kids. But I do understand like what the hell he's talking about, because you have seen it. Like last week I talked about Terry Crews, and I think I talked about it happened to Kevin Hart, and they tried to get it to Morgan Freeman. Matter of fact, they tried to get it to a lot of our black leaders. It seems like we're in the point where we can like help others. It seems like they try to knock them down. So you see that at one point. Like Terry Crews, I say it all the time. It's just like, even though yes, I did laugh at the situation, I do point it out that he did try to get something done, and like, people kind of just, I don't want to say brush him to the side, but they did kind of look at us like, why didn't you do something about it?
They left. That's what I'm saying. This strong word is like a blessing and a curse in the black community. Just because someone is strong does not mean that they're supposed to be that way 24/7. They do have weak moments. We are human. Can we stop with the strong business? Because just because Terry Crews physically looks strong and is mentally strong does not mean that him coming out and discussing how a man grabbed his penis that actually is in charge of booking his shows or series or whatever he's into in the Hollywood business, people laughed it off. They laughed it off. It pissed me the fuck off. Because he was on, I think, one of the daytime shows discussing it. And I saw people in the crowd, their emotions, their human behavior, like
the stray hand,
paying attention to what the fuck is coming out of this man's mouth. All on the internet, they made a joke of him. They made memes. It's not fucking funny. It's not. Take him serious as serious as you do the Me Too movement.
And the reason we can't take him serious is because of, if you remember that movie with the Wayans brothers.
Yes.
What they
White chicks.
white chicks. There you go. Remember how he was acting in that?
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Exactly.
You
No, I'm
explain the
saying,
part.
but you
You can't do
see,
that. You
because we're
can't do that
watching
against
that,
him.
we see that, and then we see his Old Spice commercials. So when
Yeah.
he talks about something like this, we can't, these people can't take him seriously. Where we're like, nah, he's seriously talking about a situation, this shit's serious. But because we had that in the back of our mind, because he's that type of actor, he's always in something comedic. We won't go there, and it ain't an accident that he's a black man.
Yeah, for some reason people forget he is a big ass linebacker.
My issue with Terry Crews is that what he did with Gabrielle Union, yeah, that was suspect. And a lot of the comments that he had made about black masculinity, I couldn't rock with him after that.
Gabrielle.
I didn't even hear of that.
The whole thing about the America's Got Talent, he kind of threw Gabrielle Union under the bus.
Yeah, because apparently Gabrielle Union had said something. She had voiced her opinion about something and got fired for it. And then Terry Crews is in TV talking about, well, I don't really know Gabrielle like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have said that, but
I've never experienced anything like that. That didn't happen to me.
Yeah, that didn't happen to me.
It wasn't about you, you stupid mother. Sorry.
Cause you know what I'm saying? Y'all are black people in show business. Y'all are black people in the entertainment industry where it is completely whitewashed and a lot of bullshit happens and you can get blackballed easily. So, you gotta have each other's back. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't have her back. And I just looked at him sideways ever since.
Even if he's never went through XYZ, even if he never actually heard or saw whatever Gabrielle Union is saying that happened to her, he could have picked his words a hell of a lot more carefully.
Yes, and that's basically what Father was saying. You could have just picked your words carefully. Honestly, that's why I felt bad about Kevin Hart, because Kevin Hart is he's friendly. He's not even controversial at all. And it's just why are you? It's why was the LGBT going after him? He was not controversial at all. I can understand you going after a boozer or even the baby, but it's why Kevin Hart?
I heard bits and pieces of that situation, but what did he do?
I mean,
it was a joke. It was a joke. It was if my son was dancing with another dude, crash a dollhouse on his head or something like that. But it was just a joke. And then it was a bunch of tweets where you share with his boys that was in jest. It's he's a comedian. So a lot of that was just being funny. So it's just that
they should know better. Remember what he was doing with The Rock in that and whatever movie that was. They should know he's joking.
Yeah.
Was that Central Intelligence?
I think so.
I think it was Central Intelligence. Yeah.
But you think somebody really homophobic will take that chance? You think he would make a stink knowing the star he is? And they told him, yo, you got to do this with The Rock. Yeah, it's a funny scene, don't you think? If he was really like that with the power he has, you think he wouldn't be like, I ain't wearing it. What the fuck you mean? Don't make him do that. No. I think he would have said something. I really think he would have said something if he had a stance on it.
Him and The Rock are best friends.
All right.
They're best friends. But it's the same thing with Dave Chappelle in that dress. He didn't want to be in a dress and all that other stuff, and that's where he was like, "Oh yeah." It seems like they always try to put on black men in dresses and all that other stuff. So
yeah, because you guys are too intimidating.
Which I've always said. It seems like when they don't fear us, they just try to laugh at us, not laugh with us, but they try to laugh at us, which is the dress thing, which is Ari Spears, he was like, there's nothing wrong with his dress. It's comedy 101. It's just you have a point, but at the same time, that, the way black people was in comedy where we couldn't even be on TV unless we was acting like a bunch of buffoons and coonery and all that other stuff. And it's just now we're getting to a point where we can be respected. Most people don't want to do that. So,
and there's some that get away with it. It's there's some comedians where it suits them, and there's some where you feel like it's forced. Because David Allen Greer and like you said, Ari Spears, you can see them do it because that's their gimmick anyway. But somebody like Kevin Hart is mostly verbal. You know, it's not no costume type of thing. It's not like Martin Lawrence,
Right.
or Eddie Murphy. There's a specific type of comedian for that. You know, so when you see it on somebody like that's not his thing. Come on. They all have their thing. When you see that, you feel weird about it. Like, nah, that's kind of forced. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that.
Right.
You know, you can
And
pick that up.
And I told people you would never see Chuck Norris in a dress.
Oh, nope.
Nope.
Shit.
It's like,
I'm sorry.
and to white people, Chuck Norris is a man's man. That's why he had them Chuck Norris jokes and all that. Like you won't see Mr. T in a dress.
Yo, he's a man, yo. For real.
Yeah. And even then, like who I think gets it most, and then like for some reason people be trying him and they be forgetting who he is. Mike Tyson.
Yes. Oh my god.
They be trying Mike Tyson, and I'll be like, y'all do realize that man will knock you out if he really wanted to. And if he did, I wouldn't blame him. Because some of y'all be trying, like, especially when they pick up his rape allegations with Robin Givens. It's just like, the Miss Black American shit, they be bringing that up. It's like, y'all be really trying, Mike. So.
I'm just
for real.
And he was known as the baddest man on the planet, the most dangerous man on the planet, and yet they be trying to like emasculate him sometimes. It's just like, I was like,
I see him show up all zen because he went on a zen route. Yeah, and then somebody will say something just to fuck with him, and he'll stay there. It's like they want a soundbite from him just to get ratings or something.
Yep.
It's like they set him up for every interview because something goes wrong.
But the few times you see or hear from Mike Tyson and they said stuff like he don't give in.
Yeah, he's more zen. That's what I'm saying. They try to break his zen and do that because there are times where he snaps, but there are times he'll just crack a joke back. But,
that's what. Honestly, that's why I'd be like, y'all gonna leave Mike alone because he gonna punch one of y'all. It's just.
I'll never forget that one interview. Who was that? And they pissed off Bobby Brown.
I forgot. I
forgot the guy's name, but I remember Bobby Brown telling him he was gonna whoop his ass.
He's another. A matter of fact, he's another one. I be feeling bad for Bobby. It's just like, especially what he be going through. I be feeling bad for Bobby.
I got, as much as I laughed at like certain stuff that occurred with him, I got all the respect in the world for Bobby Brown. Knowing everything that motherfucker has endured. Like, dog, that's one strong motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was about to, So shout out to Bobby Brown, especially when I heard what they did to him at the funeral, where they wouldn't even let him see his daughter. And I was like, bruh, y'all doing too much.
They did it with
Go ahead, Crystal.
I'm sorry, they did it with the wife too.
That's it. That was the most fucked up thing ever.
Like that was his wife. This man, and I've said this over and over again whenever we spoken about Bobby Brown, this man who watched an entire chapter of his life die.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Show that man some fucking respect whenever you see him, mention him. This man watched an entire chapter of his life vanish.
So, you're definitely right. So I'm glad, and I'm gonna leave it at this. I'm glad that, and now we're kind of like more open to therapy. We're more open to mental health. We're more helping our black men to try to like get up on all that stuff. I know we still got some of our own ways of like not trusting each other because there's just people that kind of just run shady. So once we exercise those people, I feel like from now to like even in the future we could be better. Like I tell people, I don't have a problem with telling your kids to man up because there are situations where that's the only thing you kind of like got to do. You got to brace it up. You got to brace it. You got to man up and all that other stuff. But I also want to see the OGs give correct direction to our young people, so that way they can just steer them in the right direction. So, any last words before we move on to our final thoughts?
To that statement you just said, man, we're the OGs now, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
It is up
So
to us.
that falls on us.
I agree.
I also agree. Uh, with that, we're gonna go into our final thoughts, and I'm starting with D Wolf.
Alrighty. Just two things. One thing I wanted to touch on something. I don't know if anybody remembered about the Me Too. I don't remember the name of her. I don't remember her name, but it was a woman that was married to Anthony Bourdain. Like, I just wanted to call out the hypocrisy. If you remember, she was calling out Harvey Weinstein, saying he was doing this and that to her, and she knows about what he's been doing, this, that, and the other, right? Then fast forward to, like, I think less than a year later, it turns out she was messing with a little boy.
Ooh.
And you see how you reacted. You didn't hear about that. You didn't hear about that because she was a Me Too victim herself, supposedly.
Was her name? I'm sorry. Was her name Asia Argentino or something like that?
Is that her? I think that's her name. She's a French actress. And she's married to Anthony Bourdain, the late Anthony Bourdain.
Asia Argento or something like that.
Yeah, her. And the other thing was you had asked what would have made it better outside of Cuomo just stepping down. What would have helped? What would have made it a victory? I think either jail time plus paying these fucking families for the damages. Like, some justice needs to be served here. Like, he can't just walk away from this. That'll be a satisfying victory. Not him stepping down and nothing happens. Yeah, he's gone. Did he pay? So, and yeah, that's it.
All right, Crystal's on you.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share one of my some of my poetry on here, if that's okay.
Ooh,
That's totally fine.
Yeah, I've been writing poetry since I've been in second grade. So this one I call Melanin Kings, and I think it's perfect for what we was recently talking about. So here I go. Dear Melanin Kings, why do you hold your head low due to media and stereotypes? Are they not just words that hold spite? Are they following you and creating a false representation of you? So why give it so much power if you know it not to be true? And why do you feel your melanin sisters ain't real? Why do you blame your Nubian queens with what is wrong with you? Are we not of higher consciousness and aware of who we choose? What are you going to do? This cycle must stop. Make sure you raise your prince and princess right. That's the only way this vicious cycle would stop and we won't have to fight.
I had to shed a thug tear real quick. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was epic.
I love it. Snaps.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's where we're at. That's it. That's it.
That's it.
All right, Dion is on you.
Okay. Thought that came to mind when we were talking about reparations and things like that. This country, the people who run it, the people who live here, they know what America is. They know what America has fucking done. And the bottom line is there are just certain things that people are not ready to goddamn face. That is the main reason when it comes to reparations, it's something that if it does happen, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Because if they did that, that would mean America having to face all of its demons, not just snatching our ancestors from their homes and doing the shit they did to them, but everyone that died in the process of building this motherfucker. You know, before America became, you know, colonizing this, that, and the third. Everything that happened to the Native Americans and shit. There's a long list of shit that no one is ready to face. That's why America is and always will be a shithole, because no one wants to face those demons. No one wants to do what's right to atone for those sins. And that's all I got to say about that.
Fathers know you.
So for my final thoughts, I officially turn 27 tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Tomorrow. And
Happy early birthday.
Well, nigga, hold up, cause let me see what time it is. Nigga, it's already after midnight. Nigga, happy birthday. The fuck?
I said tomorrow.
Oh, you talking about Saturday? I was about to say. I thought you were saying today, like the 13th was your birthday. My bad.
No. Oh shit. That was funny, Dion. Thank you for that. But anyway,
well,
yeah, like, bro, I've been like thinking about a lot of shit in the direction that I want to go with my life and shit. Because honestly, like, bruh, like my life has been on pause like this entire, like ever since the pandemic started, my life has literally been on pause. And you know, it's giving me the time to just sit down and fucking reflect. And like honestly, I like this new age that's coming for me. I'm trying to do a lot of shit different. Like I'm actually really looking forward to, you know, this new chapter. So I don't know. I feel like realistically, I'm not really optimistic about what's gonna happen, but I'm just gonna take it a day at a time and see what happens. But and I'm also saying that to say that like I've completely taken myself out of like, you know, um the rat race, as you would call it. Like I'm taking myself out of it. Like I'm gonna live my life in my means and, you know, do what I want, because like a lot of this shit is fake. I feel like I've been lied to. I feel like everything that I've ever learned is a lie. I feel like I've been deceived by a lot of shit. So I've taken the time to unlearn a lot of shit that I've like learned, especially being a man. Like, because like every time I look around, it's a whole bunch of inadequate people around me. And it's just like, yo, like there's so much better ways of doing things. Like you don't have to yell and scream, and you don't have to say certain things in order to get your point across. Why can't you just say it and then be free type shit? Like we do a lot of shit that's backwards. And I don't think people really understand like this. The reason why shit is so hard is because we overcomplicate things. Like if you've noticed, everything in America is a motherfucking process. To get a car is a process. To get a house is a process. To like do shit that would signify you being an adult, everything is a fucking process, and it's difficult for absolutely no reason. So why would you put? And then we wonder why, like you said, like so many people have mental health issues and so many people commit suicide, because we have genuinely made it hard out here for absolutely no reason, and we put these unnecessary and almost borderline dehumanizing expectations on people. And when they can't measure up, you know, we call them lazy, we call them stupid, we call them useless and shit like that. But the people who really making out there with the money and shit, those are some of the most inadequate people, you know, we have in society. These are the people that can't keep a marriage. These are the people that when you have a conversation with them, they don't really stay on topic because, you know, their frame, like they don't have too much like regular human interaction. They're in the elite club, so they can't relate to regular everyday people. So they're compromised as a result, and their decision making, you know, reflects that. The way they spend money reflects that. But we've been fed this perpetual lie of, you know, work hard and then the luxuries will come to you. And, you know, they justify by saying, oh, you're going to get a nice flat screen TV and you're going to get a nice couch. So like whenever you're done working 70 hours for the white man, you can just come sit down and watch football. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we've been doing shit backwards as a society. And it's only recently now people are actually starting to talk about it. And That's why I personally feel like the pandemic was a blessing in disguise, because it actually made people realize the way you are being treated in this country is not fair. It's legitimately not fair. It's not fair that if you have a medical emergency, you're bankrupt as a result. What the fuck kind of shit is that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like people really need to think about this shit. Why is it that, and you said this earlier before, Crystal, why is it that whenever I feel bad, I'm going to go order some McDonald's and then eat like a large pack of French fries? I know this shit not good for me, but you know, the food is addicting. Like they make the food so that it's addicting, so you crave it every time. Like, it's disgusting how much I spend on Uber Eats. It's absolutely fucking disgusting. But like, that's what I've been taught all my life. Consume.
Yeah.
Consume. Get like, life is short. Get you some fucking ribs from Uber Eats. You know, go to fucking Target and buy like, you know, buy a brand new controller just for the fuck of it. You know,
Look at the
sometimes you just
faces in the commercials of McDonald's.
I'm laughing because I felt that statement about like Uber Eats, and I felt that in my fucking soul.
Bruh, it's disgusting. Every time I like, bro, because I like I said before, like when we started, like I ordered food today, and I'm like, I look down my list, and I'm like, August 9th, August 8th, August 7th, August 6th, August. I'm like, shit.
Nigga, nigga, I had McDonald's both for breakfast and dinner today, dog.
Bruh.
Ain't that some shit?
Bad. You know what I'm saying? But like, I've also learned that like nobody in a society is inadequate. The society in itself is inadequate for breeding inadequate people, because people are products of their environment. They're only going to go as far as the location that they are born. You know, there's that thing called the opportunity index, where they look at how much money you're going to make if you're born at a certain specific area. And there's a lot of places in the majority of places in the United States, you are going to be fucking working class for the rest of your life. And there's nothing you can do about it. I don't care how many hours you put in. I don't care how many Republicans knock out your house and say, oh, you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you fucking stay at a certain spot in America, you are going to be working class for the rest of your life. But if you are born in motherfucking Beverly Hills, you are creme de la creme. You've made it. You don't even have to worry about shit. Your parents born in the Beverly, your parents work in Beverly Hills. That's where you're born. You know, your parents make like 600K a fucking month. Like, you're set. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to worry about shit. But other people, they ain't got it like that. And I've seen my parents work 30 years. Like, I haven't seen them work 30 years, but like my parents, like, they are hardworking people. They work all their life and they're still subject to shitty apartments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Insurance.
there needs to be a change, and I'm glad that people are actually having conversations. I'm glad that people are not taking these bullshit jobs anymore. I'm glad that value is actually being added. I'm glad that people are actually seeing their value, because nobody is inadequate, nobody is useless. Everybody has a purpose in this life, but they have to know that they have a purpose. If you just sit a kid down and tell them, oh, you know, or just go to college and then you'll figure it out, and then slap them off the debt, and then you devalue your currency to the point where even if I make payments for the next 5 years, I still haven't touched the principal. Like, bruh, what are we doing? Like, our futures have been robbed in front of us wholesale, and we got people sitting there talking about we the ones that lazy. A change is coming, bruh. That's all I got to say.
This is why a lot of people over the last few years are opting not to even bother with college to begin with.
And you know what, Fada? The fact that you said your parents was working over 30 years, hardworking parents. I've worked in the medical field, and I've gotten a lot of calls from people like that was part of the union for the World Trade Center and things of that nature. And one lady asked me, she said, how come I can't get nursing aid for my husband? He just got out of the surgery, yada, yada. And I said, well, ma'am, they changed it on you. She's like, how come I wasn't notified? Like, she was upset. She's like, man, I should have just went on Medicaid like my next door neighbor and stayed in bed and never worked a day in my life. And I couldn't say shit. They took all her benefits away. And she worked for a particular union for over, I want to say 20 years, her and her husband. And now she can't get the medical help that she needs. So yeah, I totally agree with you when it comes to being happy that people are waking up to the bullshit and stop being a slave.
Big facts.
Uh,
Is he gone?
Nah, he's not gone. His internet probably destroyed him again.
Yeah.
there it
There you
goes.
go. Yeah, you getting jitsy too, aren't you? Yeah, he's getting jitsy. That's why he hasn't answered yet.
Yeah. All right. All right. All right.
There
Am
you
I
go.
coming in now? Damn,
Yeah.
man. Yo, I went like a good 2 or 3 months without getting jitsi. Now, anyway, for my channel, I'm gonna just do. I got a bunch of albums that I'm gonna do and review. I already listened to most of them, so they're gonna be in a quick reviews format. So look out for them. I was gonna do them in a regular format, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to. And um, also, I hope whoever hears this could take what they've learned today, and then we can use it for the future. Because tell you the truth, it really does. It seems like this generation, and I think Crystal said it. This generation, we might be the ones that have to do everything and change the world, and probably because we lived before computers and after computers. Which, by the way, I hope y'all kids are going to do okay with going to school with COVID and all that other stuff. I hope that goes well. But yeah, I hope this generation, the generation after us, we could change the world to where it could be better, and I don't have to say economically we are not better off than our grandparents. I would like to say like we are finally caught up to the point where we are succeeding, especially us black people, because I feel like us black people, it's time for us to be owning our own things. And I've always talked about black ownership, and I've always big us black entrepreneurship. So as long as I see that keep going, so I'm gonna be happy. Uh, that's all I got to say. I'd like to thank the panel for jumping on again. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to hear us talk our shit again. This is, you know what? Let me just say podcast, and we sign it out. Peace.
Yes.
Cheers.